What made you want to be a writer? Did you have some ability in high school or grade school, or had you already?
Not the least. I had started when I had my children and staying home with them. I started writing down the stories that Mom told.
Okay, that's.
And the funny little things that I remembered from my childhood. But it was just for my own purposes, my own, happiness. And then when we moved where we are now, there was a zoning mess over there, and the ladies in my community got involved. And I had secretarial background, so I was the one to do the letters and the stuff to the editors and so on. And at that time, Springfield News Leader had a prose and poetry section. And I got up enough nerve to send in some of my little silly stories, and people liked them. Well, I can remember the day that the postman took the first one, and I thought, I am going to have a heart attack. I don't think I can take this. What if they don't like my stories? What if they think this is dumb? But anyway, people liked them. And I think it was you said, have you ever thought about writing a newspaper column? Well, good grief, no. I'm not.
That's beyond my capability.
That's beyond.
But you've got your mom and your dad for background, and so you can accomplish what you have.
I have such an interesting family.
Yeah,
and
something to write about.
Experiences that, and people tell me, in fact, this past week, I have been given 2 really interesting things, and I've got 2 columns coming up, no problem whatsoever.
26 years without missing a column. That's really good.
And then I write for other publications and so on. And I
you're
really enjoy it. I think that's the secret, is to enjoy it.
I'm going to bring up something that was started here in Fairgrove by your brother, and Betty and I had something to do with the Fairgrove Historical Society back in the 1970s. I know that both of you got involved in those first historical arts and crafts shows that grew into what today is thousands of people coming to the Fairgrove Heritage Reunions. But I think it was interesting how you worked into it, you and your whole family worked into it with a cow, and even Bob's dad, Harry, he was hand milking a cow. Go ahead and explain a little bit about it. Jerry called you probably.
I don't remember exactly, but I know he asked us to see if we could bring the cow down and show out, and milk it. And it was tied up there in front of the bank building at that time. Bob's dad, he was the one that milked it, and it was his cow at that time.
And he brought a calf with it.
Yeah, he brought a calf. And he sat down there under that cow and milked her and showed what few people there were. I think if there had been 25 people here, it was stressed a little.
I know.
But the ones that did come enjoyed it. And the next year, we brought another cow. We bought a cow that was south of town here, a Jersey cow, and set it up just a little bit more extensive than what it had been then. And
More of a display now.
More of a display, and I eventually ended up with a cream separator and a display of butter churns, and I hand milked that cow. I run it through the separator, put it in the daisy churn, turn the handle until it turned into butter, and then I clean the horse butter and salt it a little bit, put it on crackers and cookies.
That's one of the first displays.
Handed it out to the little kids, and they just go crazy over that homemade butter. And we had a lot of fun. We did that sale.
And you ended up starting a pretty good collection of butter churns.
I've done a lot. A lot of milk bottles. I've got 3 different sets of daisy churns each year, with 4 different sets every year that they make a different upgrade. I've got samples of all of them.
And you and Bob are still in the milking business.
We are still in the milking business. Bob has quit milking, and 2 of our grandsons, who just recently graduated from high school, are milking that morning now.
And when you had helped your dad, you were milking maybe 20 cows? How many cows is being milked on your place?
Most of the time we didn't milk 14, but once in a while we had to turn out one batch and turn in 4 or 5.
Break some new ones?
Yes. And one time Daddy was milking and Mom would go up and sit in the barn and told Jerry, well, he cried a lot. And she told Jerry that they could see up towards the Farm Market Road. And Daddy sent me up there after a cow that didn't come in. And it was barefooted. I went up there to get around that cow and bring her in, and we had a young male cow up there. And
you didn't want to say bull?
I think it's allowed today, but at that time it wasn't allowed.
Isn't that something?
Male cow. And that bull got after me and chased me all the way back to the house. Wow. And the grass was wet to do it already settled. The grass was wet. And my bare feet would slide out from under me about every 10 or 15 steps I made. And that bull just bucking and snorting and coming right in behind me. And by the time I got back to the barn, I made all the way. And I got back to the barn, and Jerry had seen what was going on. And he was screaming bloody murder because he thought sure that bull was going to get me. And Daddy just laughed. He said, well, if you'd have just stopped, that bull would have stopped too.
Sure.
Maybe he would have, but I didn't take that chance.
Well, Marilyn, you got into creating things, you sewed things during the first reunions.
Jerry called and he said, do you think you could make some bonnets to sell? And I said, well, I guess, because I was a seamstress at that time. And so I've had a booth probably 20, 25 years.
And you made all?
Bonnets, men's caps, tea towels, hot pads, aprons, everything you can imagine. Anything that you could sew, I made. And it did very well. I sold a lot. I would make over 100 bonnets and well, over 100 of everything that I made. And they really sold. And I had orders, after the show was over. And then our oldest brother, Joe Wayne, was the blacksmith all those years. Well, the first probably 20, 25 years. And
that was a big part of how the show started, is Jerry calling all the family members in to help him. And everybody pitched in. And Jimmy didn't. I think he had work to do, or maybe he went fishing that day.
Well, one of the funny stories about all of our family being here helping out, Jerry's art teacher from SMS came out and was looking for him. And Terry was, there talking to him and said, well, I'm his brother-in-law. And said, this is his mother and Mom. And Daisel was doing the bean booth here and where the Hilltop Pizza is now. And said, and that's his mother. And said, that's his Aunt Daisel. And said his sister is down there with the cow, milking the cow. And his older brother is the blacksmith. And his younger sister is selling my wife and his younger sister selling bonnets and hand-sewn things. And said, see all those people out there? They're all his cousins. And at that time, it was a huge crowd.
And I know you're not doing that anymore, but your son is the major announcer for both days, and he's the mayor of Fairgrove, and that's an interesting thing that it's passing down. And hopefully it's been such a good process for Fairgrove to have this positive movement. I think it will continue, and we all hope it will. You've been the secretary of the Historical Society meetings for 15 or 20 years, probably.
Well, longer than that.
30.
I'd say 30 years.
Time gets away from me.
Yeah, and I've been the secretary that whole time. Once you get in,
they won't let you go.
Yeah. And I'm in each year now. I'm in the information booth at Fairgrove.